Hi everyone, I'm Radu Sebastian Amarie, your host at Talks by Softminator tonight. As you may have noticed, tonight we have a foreign guest with us, so this edition will be a full English edition. With this occasion, I want to say hi to all our viewers from outside Romania, especially hi to the viewers from Algeria, the home country of our first guest. Fouzia Adjailia is an ambassador of women in artificial intelligence in Algeria, the founder of Gardenia Academy, which is the first global online bilingual academy for artificial intelligence, and also the co-founder of the National Academy of Innovation and Creativity in Algeria. Quite a CV, and I haven't even mentioned the fact that you've been a nominee to the Global Award for the most disruptive woman in AI in 2019. So congratulations and welcome to Talks by Sopinator.
Hello, and thank you very, very much for having me tonight. It's such an honor for me to be today in this event. Thank you for the great introduction, and I'm really happy to be here today, and I hope that you will enjoy my presentation and the time with me.
Yeah, of course. It's also our pleasure that you are here. So tell us a bit about your journey so far. What's the secret to doing so many things? And of course, where does this passion for artificial intelligence comes from?
Well, honestly, I've been fond of computers since I was young. I always was good in destroying computers and try to understand what's going on inside of it. My father was not happy, but I was happy about it. Um, and since then, I was always interested about robots also. And I got after my baccalaureate exam, I chose computer science, but at that time, I didn't really like my um, because it's a LMD system. So I got like 3 years in bachelor's, 2 years master's, and the rest is PhD. I didn't really like the subject that I had in my bachelor's since it's all about like information technology. It was not something that I was passionate about. So I ended up changing the university in my master's to artificial intelligence to a whole other university. And at that moment, I know that this is my passion and that's how I want to my career to be. I like that we can make things think, and that's the global theme of my academy is to make things think, and that's how you create like a whole new life from objects.
Great. Okay, so tell us about your subject and for tonight, and I guess you can also go into your presentation.
Okay, of course. If I may just share my screen.
Yep, I will also hide my face from here.
Okay, I hide this, and is my presentation clear?
Yeah, it's
Okay,
perfect.
great. Okay, so today we'll be talking about 3D facial expression recognition in human-robot interaction. My presentation will be divided on three main parts. The first one, we will deal with the basic notions regarding emotions and what is expressions, and the research related to this matter. As for the second part, it will be about the robots and the human-robot interaction, the types of robots and the types of interactions, etc. However, the third part we will link between the first and the second, and we will explain how computers perceive our emotions and interact with those emotions, and help computers understand our emotions by the facial expressions even better. So, thank you very much for introducing me, Elia. So, briefly, my name is Fouzia. I'm Algerian citizen, and currently I'm PhD student at the Technical University of Košice in Slovak Republic. Recently, I launched my startup, which is Gardenia Academy. It's a bilingual academy to teach in artificial intelligence um, in both English and Arabic. This initiative came from my work as an ambassador for women in artificial intelligence. So without further ado, I would like to go to the presentation. So So by this presentation, we kind of like try to help see where the world is heading regarding emotion technology, and this by providing an overview about the technological point of view regarding emotions, by providing also the agenda to find the link between robots and emotional intelligence. This subject has also been covered by Disney movies. And if you may know, like you may know this movie where they simulated the emotions or they characterize it by figures like this, and you can notice that the blue one is sadness, the orange is anger, of course, the joy, sad, fear, and disgust. But originally, emotions, there's a lot of theories of emotions. There's the physiological part or the theory, which is a responses within the body cause emotions. For example, when you smell something that reminds you of childhood, then you feel more happy. If you're angry, then you probably feel not comfortable, but this is not up to you. It's up to the physiological um, things that happens within your body. There's also the neurological uh, point of view when the brain activities cause the emotional responses. However, the cognitive one are the thoughts from the emotions. When you think about someone that you love, you start feeling happy when you think about family. However, when you think about bad experiences or bad people, then it makes you less comfortable. However, there's also, it's worth also mentioning that emotions are very, very important in artificial intelligence and in our life in general. And the motivation of emotion recognition has a variety of disciplines that will benefit from this phenomenon. Let's take an example in the healthcare. It's very, very important to track the emotional state of the patients to in order to help with their treatment and to help them if they needed more attention from us in the education also. And this year has been the best, has been like proof to us that uh, at tackling the emotional state of the students is very important because it is a very important factor in the educational experience of the students. The user feedback, for example, when someone a customer goes to buy something, then we want their feedback in order to help both the user experience and the industry in order for this brand or for this market in order to improve their business and to satisfy the customers better. For the security or safety, it's very important to see, for example, I'll give you a simple example. When we are in a bank and someone is coming to the bank in order to withdraw some money, and we can see that the person is stressed or is showing some um, expressions in his face that he's not or she's not comfortable, then at that moment we know that probably this person is in trouble and probably someone has been kidnapped or anything. However, like as a human being, we ought to express our ideas and emotions using a several channels. We can express it using its texture, gait gestures, body language, or facial expressions. A study made Varys reported that facial expressions of the speaker contributes 55% to the effect of the spoken message, while the verbal part and the vocal part contribute only 7% and 38% respectively. So from this, we um, we conclude that the facial expressions are very, very important. One of the earliest studies made regarding facial expressions in this guy called Paul Ekman, and he made an experiment on a tribe on Guinea when he found out that all the human beings they share the same fundamental facial expressions. There are 7 expressions, and these expressions are common to all the human beings. no matter what are your origins, ethnicity, or so we all share the same 7 emotions. There is also the physiology of facial expression, as you see in the picture, that the facial expressions are resulted by consequence of mimic muscle activities that innervated by the facial nerve. Those muscles are mainly with the skin and don't move with the joints or bones. However, from the psychological point of view, there's a difference between feelings, affects, and sentiments. For example, the feelings can be driven by the physical state like hunger, pain, as we mentioned earlier. The affect is the state of evaluation and situation or behavior by two forms that is negative and positive, which is like and dislike. The sentiment, which are socially constructed patterns of sensation, expressive gestures, and cultural meanings organized around the relationship to a social object, usually another person or group such as family. So it can be a form of romantic love, parental love, loyalty, and friendship. Now we go to the second part when we will talk briefly about social human-robot interaction. Social human-robot interaction is a discipline of studying human behavior toward robots from different perspectives, understanding, designing, and evaluating robotic systems for the use of or by human. And of course, there's a lot of types of robots. There's the social robots, the service robots, there's the humanoid robots, and those are enables access to visualized resources, including computers, network, storage, development platform, or applications. So the type of interaction can be based on cooperation, can be also based on the role of the robot, can be also based on the duration and the complexity of these robots. However, this discipline may face some challenges and problems. For example, the design approach. Researchers nowadays they still struggle whether the robots should have the humanoid appearance or they just should have a neutral face. The embodiments, whether the robot should walk in like 2 legs or like some animal, the artificial emotions, the dialogue, the human-oriented perceptions, and user modeling. Those also challenges and problems that are facing nowadays. So we spoke firstly about emotions and secondly about robots. But how about right now we link the two parts together in order to really understand how computers really understand our emotions. There's just one way to do that, which is by artificial intelligence. In computer science, artificial intelligence, sometimes called machine intelligence, is intelligence demonstrated by machines. It constructed to the natural intelligence displayed by human beings and animals. This picture represents three different things. They are linked, but we will see together. Artificial intelligence, which is any technique which enables computer to mimic human behavior. And there's also the subset of artificial intelligence, which is called machine learning. It's techniques which use statistical methods to enable machines to improve with experience. However, if we go deeper, then we go to the deep learning. Deep learning is a subset of machine learning which make the computers of multi-layer neural network feasible. In order to make computers really adopt the process of recognizing the emotions, we have this system. This system consists of 3 main steps: the facial pre-processing, the feature extraction, and the machine learning. It can be a little bit different when we talk about deep learning, but we will see in the next slides how it's different. So, some researchers and they provided models in order to understand emotions and make computers understand it. So this diagram represents the models of emotions. We have 2 types, the categorical and the dimensional. For example, in the categorical, we have the basic, which I mentioned earlier, the one related to Ekman Paul. There's the hourglass and facial action coding system. For the dimensional, we can mention whistle model or plastic model. But what's the difference between categorical and dimensional? In the categorical approach, the emotional process can be explained by a set of basic or fundamental emotions, which would be familiar to humans. There is no consensus about number or nature of these so-called fundamental emotions. In this example, the first picture on the left side is Ekman's 6 basic emotions. Disgust, happy, sadness, anger, fear, and surprise. In the second picture, there is the facial action coding system. They are small parts of the face. It can be eyes, it can be mouth, a nose, and to help us recognize the emotions even better. However, from the other side, there's the dimensional approach. Emotions are resulted from a fixed number of concepts represented by a multi-dimensional space. Dimensions can be an axis of pleasure, awakening, power. The dimensions vary according to the needs of the model. And here I represented in two pictures the Russell's model and Whistle model. This is the second step when it comes to the facial expression typical process. This feature we will present some techniques that were performed in recent work in feature extraction. And the aim of this step is to extract the important features from the picture in order to feed it to the machine learning or to the machine learning algorithm. There's the global spatial image feature extraction. This takes the features from the whole images. However, in the local spatial image feature extraction, it takes the features only from specific areas in the picture. For example, in our case, it will take only the features when it comes to the eyebrows, to the eyes, to the nose, to the mouth, only not from the whole picture. Well, here there's two types. There's the machine learning and there's the deep learning, as we mentioned earlier. And in both areas, there were extensive research and experiments that have been done regarding this matter. So unlike rule-based methods, machine learning is a branch of artificial intelligence aims to make machines learn explicitly by feeding them only with data. Since people's way of showing their emotions can differ from one person to another, this made it a hard process for machine learning to extract facial emotions. And this picture represents the process of making classification of facial expression in machine learning. The first step, which is the input images. These images are 2D images. Then in the next step, we can apply the face detection or landmark detection. Then in the third step, we extract the features and then we feed those features into facial expression or to a classifier. That is, those classifiers can be support vector machine, AdaBoost, hidden market models, and random forest. Those only some types of the machine learning algorithms that were used in recent experiments. However, in deep learning based approaches, this deep learning uses an architecture of nonlinear transformations, which consists of multi-layer perceptrons in order to tackle complex platform that requires a big amount of data. Deep learning has been widely used in facial emotion recognition. It reduces the pre-processing phases, unlike the conventional approaches, and enable the learning process directly from the input images. For better understanding, there's these pictures where the input is always a 2D image. Then in the pre-processing, we can apply the alignment of the face, the illumination, the pose, and which or the scaling, the rotation, the color, the noise, which comes in under the umbrella of data augmentation. Then the next step, which is like the deep learning, for that matter, there's a lot of algorithms also. There's the convolutional neural network, which is in the upper image. This point, convolutional neural network. There's the deep autoencoder, recurrent neural network, and many other algorithms that can be applied to this problem. We take an example of convolutional neural network. Convolutional neural network is a category of feed-forward network architecture in machine learning used to almost any image-based application. It is generally has three important layers, that is the convolution layer, the pooling layer, and fully connected layer. And this also an image represents the deep learning models for practical applications. We have, for example, the Inception, the ResNet, the GoogleNet, AlexNet, and each one has its own characteristics and drawbacks and number of parameters. However, by the development of the hardware, nowadays we can see that the sensors and cameras that they can capture 3D images. And what is exactly a 3D image? It's simply a picture that has or appears to have a height, width, and depth in three-dimensional space. So there's a lot of types in order to represent those 3D images. We can mention the voxels, the mesh, the point clouds, the octree, the multi-view representation. So why 3D images, and what's the difference between 3D and 2D images? Compared to 2D images, 3D imagery can be computationally costly to deal with, to be honest. They do, however, provide the image with a more reliable and detailed definition. They offer the image depth parameter, which is important for the identification of objects which cannot be clearly seen with 2D images, such as a convex. 3D mapping will be approached in order to change all the 2D image processing challenges of technology. Changes in illumination are not a challenge for 3D imaging, since the mask is not deformed and the geometric data does not vary depending on the lighting and illumination. Recently, we published a research article when we compared the classification of the 2D and 3D images. So a comparison study for facial expression recognition. For this purpose, convolutional neural network was used to classify 2D and 3D images from a very famous dataset for facial expression, that is Bosphorus dataset. For a sophisticated training process, we applied the same experimental setup and hyperparameters along the observer studies. It appears that 2D classification overall produces slightly more accurate results than 3D classification. Further studies should be performed to create more 3D data and to develop methods for 3D data augmentation, as well as processing a better voxel classification model. If you would like to know more about the publication, then these are the informations that I can provide you. And in conclusion, I would like to probably raise the question whether we will have artificial emotions just the way we had artificial intelligence. Thank you so much for your attention, and don't hesitate if you want to have any questions or contact me via the email for any further questions.
Thank you for your presentation, Fouzia.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Definitely we'll have artificial emotions as well, especially when we're gonna have robots working with us and trying to behave more human. They'll have to implement some artificial emotions for them. Otherwise, they'll be creepy, weird, creepy and awkward.
I totally agree with you.
Um, Yeah, thank you very much for the presentation.
You're welcome.
And if there will be any questions, I will ask the people to add them on our Talks by Softinator group, and I will ping you to answer them there. And
Okay,
yeah,
no problem.
thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you very, very much.
To continue, we'll have to say hello again to our speaker, Andrei Ghiorghiu, Head of
Um,
Digital at
I think
Connectys. Uh, that will gonna walk us through an experimental of how digital transformation is impacting our lives and some fundamental questions of which we're gonna try to find answers together. So without further ado, Andrei Gheorghiu, welcome to Talks. And before you start, please tell us a bit about yourself and your journey so far. And of course, why are camels better than unicorns?
Thank you very much, Radu, and thank you, Fouzia, for the presentation. It was quite interesting. So yes, I will share a little bit about myself. I also have a slide that will help me to do that. And with regards to camels and unicorns, I think that or I hope that part of my presentation will answer to that question. So just to keep everybody engaged, if that's not clear until the end of my presentation, then we'll get back to that and discuss it in more details. And if it's about discussion, I would actually love that if you have questions or if anybody that looks at us has any question, it would be great if it would be more of a conversation than me presenting the slides. But
Yeah, if you have questions, shoot them in our Facebook Live and I'll forward them to Andrei.
perfect.
Definitely.
So I will share my entire screen. No. Yeah, I will share the entire screen. And can you see my presentation now?
Yes.
Well, actually, my PowerPoint, since I think it's much easier to keep it in this form, to go back and forth through the slides if you or anybody else has any questions. So yeah, digital transformation. How is this going to impact us, or how it's already impacting us? That's my subject. I'm Andrei Gheorghiu. A little bit of background about myself. My story with repetitive tasks with work in general started a little bit more than 10 years ago when I joined KPMG, like a Big Four kid dreaming to become the I don't know, Wolf of Wall Street or any financial industry top that I was thinking about at that point. Things changed a little bit since my plans were actually my vision about this career was totally different when I entered KPMG. I was expecting to do some very complicated things that didn't touch at university, but I realized that actually there was a lot of repetitiveness in the work. There was a lot of work done the same and again and again in exactly the same way. So then something triggered, and I realized that there may be a different way to do some of those stuff. And of course, technology was the answer. So I tried to shift a little bit my financial background to something more technological. So I went to Oracle. I spent there 5 years. Started as a finance person there as well, since the transition was not that easy. But then I had the chance to meet amazing people, to become a business analyst, a developer, even a project manager. So I covered a lot of technical roles in Oracle. And then I fell in love with automation. It was clear for me at that time UiPath emerged. So it was pretty clear that RPA is the thing that I want to do going forward. Since I already had the chance to take a look and play a little bit with Visual Basic for Automation, which was an ancestor of UiPath. Actually, I was pretty happy to move in this direction. And in order to do so, I've been to LeasePlan, which is another great company, a corporation that handles financial leasing. And I've met there a couple of people and developed a quite interesting team with them. Actually, it was a great period of my career, because we had a chance to put the first center of excellence for RPA in place. A lot of things to learn, but then I realized that I need something a little bit more, so I moved into a different position as a digital transformation leader with Agranda, which is actually one of the biggest integrators of UiPath into customer systems. So I've tasted a little bit on the startup part of the business. It was actually great, quite an experience. So I started there to build bots for, you name it, totally different companies from different industries, from different countries all around the world. So it was a quite interesting experience. But then I realized that all this time helped me to create a recipe, and now I need a place to build and scale that recipe. So that's why currently I'm at Connectys, BPO leader company that provides also digital services. So it's actually the best place to be at this point in time, since Connectys is one of the companies that really understands um, the digital first way of thinking, and they are investing in that. So that's why I'm here at Connectys at this point in time. So I'm back to corporate world, trying to with a little bit of a startup mindset. That's all about my background. I've built a lot of robots and chatbots. That's why a lot of my presentation today will be focused in this direction. We'll discuss a little bit of about why digital transformation. Why is this a topic that's so pregnant at this point in time? What are some of the emerging technologies that actually come in the digital transformation package as a start for every company? What are some of the impacts that we've seen until now, and some of opportunities that this digital transformation wave is creating? What's the old and new way to adapt to change, and how do we build a career now, and what meant to building a career a few years ago? And of course, the most interesting subject, money versus time. So let's dive. If there are any other topics, and anybody wants to add something to the list, happy to jump on that. Oh, okay, so we are still here. I was
Yeah,
just
we're
afraid
still
that.
here. Yeah, if something bad happens, I'll be like, Andrei on WhatsApp, I'll call you. Hey, what's happening?
Okay,
I'm
okay,
joking.
okay.
Yeah,
That's perfect. So let's discuss a little bit about why digital transformation. Actually, here are some words that some leaders in the industry are putting up front. It's important to mention that in 2019, Adobe actually said that digital first companies were 64 more likely than other companies to exceed their business goals. So think about the fact that 64% cannot be coincidence. It's actually something. It is something related with digital transformation. PricewaterhouseCoopers said that 52% of companies plan to cut budgets during COVID, but only 9% of those from digital transformation teams. I can say that the rest of the 48% of companies that do not feel to cut anything from the budgets now are heavily investing in digital transformation. So it's a hot topic. The trend, it's actually old. So why discussing about it in 2020? So if you go and search on Google Trends, you'll find out that digital transformation actually had a spike in so starting with 5 years ago, digital transformation started to raise a lot in the interest of people, and that's because actually, from my point of view, companies don't really have a change. Don't really have a chance to survive without it. It's a matter of competition, and if your competitor manages to do automate the process, do, I don't know, implement a chatbot and reduce the costs of their services, then at that point you will need to survive. And in order to do so, you will need to keep your prices competitive. So you need to do as fast as possible the same thing that your competition is doing. That's why digital transformation, it's now raising exponentially, because once it reached all the industries, there is nothing actually that can stop it, and you need to invest fast and to try to keep the surface. So why is it possible? Why 2015 was the start? And actually, I think it's because of the fact that at that point the technology evolved in the manner that permitted the companies to start digital transformation. And now another good question would be, why did the tech evolve that much in 2015? And I think that it actually then we reached a critical point when the access to knowledge was very easy. So the computers started to become very cheap, and the knowledge, the podcasts, the events like yours, the information, it's now flowing without a cost all over the place. And it's just a matter of investing the time in order to gain the knowledge to be able to do some of the amazing things. So since the information it's now everywhere, it's just a matter of you taking the lead and learning and becoming the next digital transformation leader in your company. I'm pretty sure that this exponential growth will follow, because we are looking at half of the global population not having access to internet at this point in time. So there is a huge potential right there. There is a huge potential in the new generations that actually are much more prone to use technology from early stage. So I'm pretty sure that we will see a huge growth when it comes to digital transformation. I will share with you actually only two of the main disruptors, let's call them like that, of the year. I'm here talking about the chatbots and RPA, robotic process automation. There are of course a lot of other technologies that go under this digital transformation umbrella. But those are the ones that I feel are the easiest to understand by companies, and because of that, the most accessed by everybody, and they really created the hype in the market that promoted digital transformation as a trend. Not sure how familiar are you with those two technologies, but I assume that everybody knows a little bit about them. So I won't get into very technical details. Those can easily be found everywhere. I will just let you know from the business side what I think is it's the most important selling point for both technologies, and why do I feel that companies need to have them. And it's easy to understand their hype. So first of all, discussing about chatbots are actually the front end part of the business. It's the way to communicate with your customers, and it's actually a huge benefit having a chatbot, since you will have an instant answer and endless patience. Think about the fact that humans answering phones are prone with the passing of time to become, I don't know, frustrated, or to have limited capacity of patients. That's not happening, of course, with a chatbot. You can get a deeper customer understanding. So all the data that's flowing in through those conversations, it's stored. It can then be mined. You can understand more about it. Of course, it's about cost saving as well. As I told you, if you have a competitor that's doing the exact service as you, but they are not paying the people chatting, and they're just having a chatbot, you will need to find a way, irrespective of your industry, to become competitive again. And because of that, you need to reduce the costs. Better service level agreements. Of course, chatbots can reply instantly, so there is no need for your customers to wait until a new agent is available, things like that. 24-hour service, that's something very hard to achieve and very costly if you are a small or medium enterprise and trying to service your customers all day long. It's easy to scale, of course, because the same script can be deployed in as many instances as you need, and there are no human errors. Of course, there may be some robot errors, but that's actually the problem of the developer, not necessarily of the chatbot. So that's why
Understanding
chatbot.
errors.
Sorry.
Understanding errors, like the chatbot not really understanding why I have a bug and I need to go into contact with the actual human, and he's like, no, I can help you. Here are some more articles you can read, but no.
Exactly. That's the scenario that I'm talking about, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of us felt it in a way or another. But yet again, it's easy to remember the bad part, and not even realizing that you've discussed with a lot of chatbots that did a really great job until then.
That's true.
About RPA, or about robotic process automation. Actually, the technology, it's also quite old, but UiPath, the unicorn, our unicorn, it's actually the one that created this robotic process automation hype in the market and started companies moving into this direction. Why? It's quite simple. It's again about cost of delivery. So having a bot that does now the back end part of the business, it's much more easy. You'll have a secure data management, real-time servicing, handling spikes. So think about the fact that if you have an activity that's I don't know, more heavy at the end of the month or in the winter, then you will need in that period of time to hire more people. Just like in audit, for example, in KPMG, the majority of the activity was happening in the winter time, and at the close of the financial year, and during the summer, a lot of people were actually having free time, and it's something that's hard to manage with humans, but with a robot, of course, it's easy. Increased productivity, decreased frustration, and I'm talking here about the people in the team as well. So if you have a colleague that's actually doing your mundane tasks, that's a robot, you'll be actually much more happier at work, having the chance to bring some value to your work and not being you yourself a robot. Audit trails, of course, it's a big advantage. Like for chatbots, you can actually dive deeper in all the work that the robot is doing. So because of that, it's a huge advantage, and it's simple to implement. So compared with any other IT implementation that I've seen so far, you can actually have a RPA robot up and running in maybe less than 1 week. So that's another thing that companies are actually getting very hyped about, since when usually discussing about IT implementations, it takes much more longer than that. Let's discuss about the impact. So, of course, that's a true. Jobs will disappear. I've seen a lot of my industry colleagues that try to avoid this real fact and try to pretend like this is not happening. But I'm pretty sure that doesn't make any good for digital in general. So it's important to understand that some of the jobs for sure will disappear. What jobs and at what point in time? There are a lot of speculations online. I just took some and put those into the slide. I think it's very hard to tell. I think it's hard to tell because things are moving very fast, and because it's almost impossible to say when industries will be actually hit, like for example tourism by COVID, and they will need to act fast and do something about it. So there are some scenarios that we won't be able to predict, but it's for sure something that will happen in the future. So we most probably won't see travel agents, bank tellers, I don't know, accountants for the next 25 or 50 years from now. But the fact that jobs will disappear, it's a constant that our world had until now. So we as humans adapt at every point in time and become actually better on what we're doing, or just replacing the way in which things are done. I know that for a long period of time, refrigerators were actually had some ancestors, which were the ice
Icebox.
boxes. Yeah, and actually those ice boxes evolved during the time to become bigger, to keep more ice, to have, I don't know, a longer period of keeping the ice. Everything was done in this direction, and then the revolution came when refrigerators came out, and we realized that a better solution for the problem was to a shift in how we thought, and then do the constant refrigeration with the machine. That's happening. So a lot of guys who were getting the ice from lakes were now out of job, but of course they adapted, and there are much more good examples with the industrial revolution. But people adapt, and actually things are getting better and better. Or maybe I'm just an optimist, but I feel that looking at the past 100, 200 years, things are moving in the right direction. And I would like to believe that this will happen as well in the future. Because of that, there are a lot of opportunities that appear besides the one related to education, which I feel is the most important one. And I can emphasize enough how fascinating this is to me. The fact that we can actually become whatever we want, just and there is no limitation in terms of technology or of access to information. The only limitation that we have at this point, it's about the time, and we'll get to that. So opportunities, this is a list of jobs that were not so it's important to realize, of course, that a lot of I don't know. There are much more cashiers in the world than app developers. That's true, but there are some other categories like Uber drivers that actually replace huge chunks of the population. So I think that there will be jobs in the next 15 years that we won't even think about at this point in time. I'm just realizing now that when I realized that there is a social media manager position, I was just hired to Oracle, and I realized that somebody was doing that, and for me it was such such a novel thing. I was actually not understanding how somebody is paid to manage a social media account. But now, years after that, I feel that that's actually the
Everyone is
logic of.
one.
Well, yeah, it makes a lot of sense now. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's about the novelty. Yeah, so that's the old way to work and learn, and actually it's the other way around. So we were in a university, learned to do a thing, and then started working on that, and then becoming better at that. So the learning circle was closing because we are becoming better at what we did, and there's a lot of examples of people that were just never changing the industry, maybe never even changing the company, doing the exact same work for a long period of time, becoming better at it, and that was it. And that was a way to evolve and to do stuff, but unfortunately, it's not something that's also available for us today. So learning stuff and then expecting to have a full life working on what you've learned, it's actually something that cannot be true in our lifetime. And because of that, we need to learn to work to keep the pace because the work is evolving as well. So we have new technologies that we are playing with. The processes are constantly changing. So the way in which we are doing, I don't know, banking today is totally different than it was 10 years ago, and for sure will be totally different than in 10 years from now. Because of that, in order to be a banker, you need to put a lot of work just to keep the pace with how things are moving. And of course, we have the chance to adapt and switch totally the I don't know the industry, the type of job that we have. So it's the new way of working, and I'm pretty sure that everybody feels it. So at least the ones that are interested in talks like the one that we have now. So yeah, it's just mentioning that because I felt it was important. How you can adapt to that actually, and how you can go through to from old to new. As I told earlier, I feel that the only thing that's actually keeping us at this point, or the only limited resource, is now the time. And that happens because the money are actually not so important, and it's something that you can easily gain or easily ask for if you have the right business plan, or if you have the right mindset, or if you have the right job, or you name it. So it's important to understand that time it's equal, or in many cases much more important than money. Because of that, I feel that a lot of people around us are actually budgeting for their monthly spending, and they keep complicated Excels with all the categories and how the money is and forecasts on what they will earn and how they will spend it. But it's amazing that so few people are actually keeping a track or a budget for their time. And I think that in order to adapt and keep the pace with everything that's happening, there are some things that are important to keep in mind. So in the case of us that are working, of course, we have 24 hours. 10 are actually spent on sleeping and doing other stuff. So we remain with 14. If we remove the 8 hours schedule, which is now actually happening because we are working from home, we remain with 6 hours. So 57% of our time it's spent on work. Very important in the new economy is to learn. Without having at least 1.5 hours of study, of learning something new every day, I feel that you won't be able to keep or to be part of the 10% of your industry, because things are evolving very fast. So we need to have some time for learning. Of course, family and friends are very important, and the fact that you also need to exercise, it's actually leaving you for them only 18% of the time. So I think that the key for a successful career, it's actually balancing your time budget. I won't spend much here because I'm pretty sure that that's not the correct one. It's just something that I'm using at this point in time and improving constantly. but just wanted to share that with you because if you're not doing it, please consider doing it from now on, budgeting the way in which you're spending the time. Just some rules that I found in books and podcasts that I felt important. Think about multipliers. So when you're taking the time for studying, for example, if you're doing the study in your work time, maybe that's a way to put the 1.5 hour from studying and from work at the same time. Take little bits. So if you're just kickstarting a habit, doing it 10 minutes per day, it's actually more valuable than doing it 50 minutes once per week, because if you skip one, it's much harder to adapt. Do the budget. So take the decision in advance for what you want to do this week. What are your time slots? How do you want to use your time in the most wise way? And don't leave that decision for the moment when you're actually already tired from a day of work and you don't really have the brain power just to say no. I'll just start studying now, or I'll just do exercise now. So do a little bit of budgeting. It will help a lot to take the decision from that guy and give it back to your smart half. And of course, adapt. So don't be very hard with yourself. Think about the fact that it's impossible to have something that will actually work 100%, but try to stay ahead of the game and adapt your budget. Any questions?
Awesome. Well, why are camels better than unicorns?
Great. Yeah. So that's actually a question that relates, I think, or an answer that relates to studying. We are actually used with unicorns, companies that have the capacity to boom, and that's actually happening without a lot of gain in the past. So I have this idea. It's something amazing. I can do a lot with it. Give me what I need in order to shine. And that's the unicorn way of thinking. Actually, we need to shift a little bit the paradigm and think about camels, and think about companies that are gaining a little bit every day and are putting resources and time and work, even though they won't have the boom, even though and I'm now thinking about individuals like us. So if you do something constant and you put a little bit of work each and every day, you will be there for a long run. You will have the chance to gain a lot.
Compound interest.
Exactly, it's about the compound. It's about going through the entire desert when the things get rough. When, for example, COVID struck, a lot of unicorns just never had the opportunity to move forward. But there are some camels there that invested a lot of time and still have some resources left because they are not going full force, but they are doing something daily. So that's why I think camels are better than unicorns.
That's a good answer. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you very much, Andrei. We don't have any more questions, but if there'll be, I'll redirect them to you, so we can continue maybe our discussion on the Talks by Softbinator group. If the people that are viewing this talk are not there, they should go and join the Facebook Talks by Softbinator group. It was a comprehensive talk, eye-opening, and I completely agree with the fact that if you don't learn, you'll remain irrelevant. So you need to budget time for learning besides working, and also budget time for family time and workout time, so that you can be healthy, so that you can learn, so that you can remain relevant. Very good presentation. Thank you very much. And to all the other participants, I guess we'll see each other again in 2 weeks for the last edition of this year. And then Christmas holidays will start. So thanks again, everyone, and see you on the Facebook page,
for the chance to present it.
on the group. And thank you again, Andrei.